During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.
Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. Whilst concerns about Imran Khan's condition and his son Kasim's fear that something irreversible could have happened to him have been allayed, questions still remain about the way he's being treated. Why is he in solitary confinement? Why is he denied regular access to lawyers and family visits? Are these attempts to force his family and his party to fall in line? Is he being personally targeted by Army Chief Field Marshal Munir? And what impact will all of this have on Imran Khan's popularity? Those are the key issues I should raise today with the international award-winning founder editor of the Friday Times and former caretaker Chief Minister of Pakistan's Punjab province and former chairman of the Pakistan Cricket Board, Najam Sethi. Mr. Sethi joins us live from Lahore. Mr. Sethi, as I said in the introduction, whilst concerns about Imran Khan's condition and his son Kasim's fear that something irreversible happened to him have been allayed, questions remain about the way he's being treated. For a start, why is he in solitary confinement? Is that really necessary?
That's a loaded question. The thing is that he's been convicted on several counts. However fairly or unfairly he may and his party may think about that. But yes, it's true that until recently, he was afforded all manner of opportunity to meet with all manner of people, including his family members, lawyers, family members, sometimes twice or thrice a week, and so on and so forth. But in the last month, the screws were tightened. And one reason for tightening the screws and denying him the opportunity to meet his family or his lawyers was that from prison, he was issuing statements that were very inflammatory, and they were designed to undermine the army chief, both professionally and personally. And some of them were bordering on instigating rebellion against the army chief, a soft coup of sorts, and which is one of the charges against him from earlier times. So I think the government then felt that November was a bit of a critical month because that's the month in which they were supposed to make various constitutional amendments and so on. And Imran was urging his party to strike out and also creating difficulties for the army chief. And I think that was one of the reasons they felt that perhaps for this 1 month, they should keep him under tight control. And as soon as the month was over, I predicted that in the first week of January, he would be granted access. But now what's happened is that he was granted access. His statement from prison that was then broadcast on international on social media basically is very subversive and is basically abusing the army chief by name and so on. And so I think now the government has again reacted to his aggressive stance and banned further meetings for him for the foreseeable future.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Sethi, but did not the courts in Pakistan not so long ago actually rule that he would be granted visitations twice a week? That was then reduced to once a week, and now it hasn't happened for 25 days.
Yes, as I said, he was granted visitation rights, and as I said, several people from the family were meeting him, his lawyers were meeting him, his political associates were meeting him, and it's only in the last month of November that the screws were tightened. And as I explained, the screws were tightened because of the statements that were issuing, that people on his behalf were issuing, and that were being broadcast on social media from London. And I think those were pretty subversive, even if I may say so.
Is it really, in a sense, to silence him, to ensure that he doesn't issue what you call subversive statements? Or are these restrictions being placed on Imran Khan because it's an attempt to force his family, to force his party to fall in line?
This family and this party is not going to fall in line. Imran Khan is not going to fall in line. He's endured over 2 years of imprisonment, and he's a strong-willed man, great determination. And he and his wife, Bushra Bibi, are now both behind bars. They get to meet each other once a week. But his popularity is not going to decline. In fact, some of these measures may well increase his popularity because he's being perceived to be persecuted by a large swath of people in this country. So if the attempt is to decrease his popularity or to create a dent in his party, that's not going to work. In fact, his popularity may increase.
You know, you said that he gets to meet his wife, Bushra Bibi, who's also in jail once a week. But his sister, who met him 3 days ago, came out and said that Imran Khan had said he has had no contact with his wife.
Well, that's one side of the story. In the recent meeting with one of his sisters, just before the current restriction was now reimposed on him last night, he did say that he gets to see his wife, Bushra Bibi.
Okay. Was the establishment in Pakistan surprised by the high-profile response, A, from Imran Khan's sons to their father's treatment, and B, to the international attention that Imran Khan's sons actually got? It was front-page news in India. Television covered it extensively, but it was also covered extensively by the BBC.
Well, it's understandable that when a family member outside Pakistan, especially Jemima's sons, speak up, they will get a degree of attention. The two sons went to America to try and lobby with the Trump administration. They didn't get too far. They didn't get too much attention there. But in the UK, they are members of a very prominent family with media connections. And so they do get attention. But if I may say so, there's not much attention here in Pakistan. India, I can understand, anything that can give of the flavor of a anti-Pakistan news works in India. But in Pakistan, the sons don't get too much attention.
Let me put this to you. If it is generally the case that the government was irked and irritated by the so-called subversive messages and tweets and statements that Imran was managing to put out from prison, why didn't they make that explanation public? Because your government was silent completely when there was a sort of period of 25 days when Imran had no access and the world was getting perturbed and disturbed about that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. They should have thought about it. Well, they've now come out and said exactly that. A bit late in the day, but that's the explanation they've now given for putting a lid on him again.
Do you really believe that the Pakistan government will be able to successfully convince the world that they're treating Imran Khan fairly, legally, legitimately? Because the concern in the West is this is a political prisoner who's been put into jail because of his opposition to the government and in particular to the elections that were held.
As far as lay people are concerned, it's not going to be possible to convince them that he's getting a fair treatment. But as far as the powers that be are concerned, the international establishments, whether it's the United States, the UK, or the EU, and so on and so forth, they are into realpolitik. They have not made too many noises about Imran Khan's incarceration.
Tell me, let's broaden the discussion. How much of a threat to the Shehbaz Sharif Field Marshal Munir regime is Imran Khan's popularity?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as long as Imran remains popular, which he is, this is a potent threat. There's no two ways about it. And which is one of the reasons why they have no choice but to keep him behind bars. And the day Imran Khan is freed, the likelihood is that he will romp back into power. But that day you can't predict when that day will happen and under what conditions it will happen. My own sense is that as long as this current dispensation, which is led by the Field Marshal, remains in place and the Field Marshal remains in his chair, it is extremely unlikely that Imran Khan will be out of prison in order to be able to galvanize the people and come back into power. One of the two will have to go.
I'll come to the Field Marshal and the reasons why he wants Imran Khan locked up in jail in a moment's time. But I take it the regime in Pakistan does realize that by treating him the way they are, by keeping him in jail, by attempting to silence him and deny him visitation rights, they're actually vastly increasing his popularity in the country.
Well, he was popular from day one. The only time he became unpopular was shortly before he resisted a vote of no confidence against his government. And instead of calling for fresh elections, he hung on to power and was eventually eased out by a parliamentary vote of no confidence. If at that stage elections had been held, I have no doubt in my mind that Imran would not have won those elections. He ran a pretty bad government, was not terribly, people were losing faith and hope in him. But unfortunately for the establishment, it decided to bring in this motley lot of People's Party and Nawaz Sharif's League to run an interim government and try and put the economy back on track. Unfortunately, the measures that this interim government had to take was so unpopular because they were IMF dictated measures which imposed a degree of hardship on people that they've not experienced before. So within 6 or 8 months, the interim government became extremely unpopular. The Sharifs and the Zardaris became unpopular, and Imran Khan's popularity surged back again. And I think it hasn't dipped since then.
And if an election were to be held today, are you confident that Imran would win? Or his party, even if he's not allowed to stand?
Yes, well, you see, the thing is this. Every time a political leader is eased out or ousted by one means or another, it's based on a degree of unpopularity that he has gathered around him during his stint in power. And if elections were held or have been held at that time, the other opposition parties have come back into power. That's how Benazir became prime minister twice. That's how Imran and Nawaz Sharif became prime minister 3 times. Ousted, became popular, came back. So Imran is in the same vein, as it were. If there were elections today, and that's a very big if, and frankly pretty unrealistic, yes, absolutely, he would get a majority.
Let's come to the Imran Khan Field Marshal Asif Munir connection. A lot of people believe that Imran Khan is languishing in jail because of his past relationship with the Field Marshal. Imran Khan, after all, was Prime Minister when Munir was removed at Imran Khan's behest from the post of DGISI. Tell me, how much of this is simply vengeance and vendetta by Munir against Imran Khan?
I think there was bad blood because of the way Munir was ousted by Imran, but it was not irreconcilable. What happened subsequently made things much worse. Imran went out of his way to try to stop Munir from becoming army chief. Indeed, after he became army chief, Imran instigated what is pretty clear to many of us, an attempt to oust Munir via a coup within the army. I think that's when the real bad blood between the institution led by Munir and Imran's party really hit the roof. And I think there's been no turning back since then. And I think that is the situation right now. Imran, given a free hand, Imran knows that the real power in Pakistan is the Munir-led establishment. And unless he can either create divisions inside it or weaken it or have Munir ousted by one means or another, there's very little chance that he can come back into the offing.
And one reason, I presume, why the regime will ensure, or rather I should say the Field Marshal will ensure, that Imran stays in jail is because if Imran is out and elections are held, Imran would not only storm back into power, but make sure that Munir is removed.
It's not just Munir. You can't imagine a situation when Munir is still around and Imran comes back into power. What you can imagine is a situation when Munir is no longer in power and Imran's return is facilitated by another establishment-led general. That is not conceivable at the current moment. And so therefore, And the other issue, of course, is that the Johnnies who are currently in power, the Muslim League Noon and the People's Party, Imran's vindictiveness is well established, and he has said on many occasions that he will not spare them either.
Let me ask you another question about Imran Khan. There's no hiding the fact that in his early years as a politician, he struggled to win seats. In fact, he couldn't even win one for himself. Yet today, he's spoken of both within your country and outside as a colossus on Pakistan's political stage. How do you account for the Imran Khan phenomenon that we've seen over the last 2 decades?
Well, it's a fairly standard operating procedure in our country. When the establishment wants to pick up a politician and prop him up, they do so pretty efficiently. They did it with Nawaz at one time, and they've done it with Imran. And then just as they dished Nawaz when he started to stand up a bit and ask for his own rights, Imran was subjected to the same fate. He was brought in 2018. They rigged the elections to bring him in. Then they got rid of him when he was standing up to them in one way or another. Then they brought in this current lot, and they rigged the elections to bring them in. But now there's very little choice because if Imran is to be freed and given a free hand, then the current dispensation and the people who lead it will all have to find exile.
So at the moment, the only future Imran faces is jail, jail, jail.
Seems like that.
Tell me, what is his standing in the eyes of the Pakistani soldiers, the Jawans, the actual rank and file of the army? I know that Munir and the generals loyal to Munir are averse to Imran Khan, but how does the army, the soldiers view Imran Khan?
The soldiers obey orders. They don't question orders. And don't forget, after the short 4-day skirmish between India and Pakistan, Qasim Munir's popularity hit the sky. Even the Imran Khan's own party began to salute him. So this is Pakistani politics. As long as there's tension with India, if there were to be another conflict in which Pakistan came off reasonably well, Munir would remain very popular within his own armed forces and outside. But if in the event Pakistan did badly militarily under his leadership, that would be the trigger for something else.
But you're saying to me that the majority of your army soldiers who come from Punjab differ from their civilian counterparts in terms of how they view Imran Khan. Surely they would view Imran Khan the same way as their cousins and brothers in the villages do.
Well, as I said, the army obeys orders. Jawans obey orders. When they go out to vote, they vote with their conscience or whatever they want to do. But at the end of the day, there's no evidence of how they think and what they will do when it comes to voting. But as I said, when voting takes place, there are other political conditions that also indicate which way the establishment is going. So in the event that one day Imran Khan is given a free hand to contest an election, the signal from the establishment will be that this is our man now. And in which case, of course, everybody will fall in line.
So to sum up the interview we've had, you don't foresee any easy or early resolution of what I call the Imran Khan problem. Things are likely to continue much as they have been for the last 2 years for the foreseeable future.
Yes, absolutely. Continue much as they are. I don't see any improvement. The political instability will continue to haunt this regime.
One last question, Mr. Sethi, and it's not to do with Imran Khan, but it is to do with a subject that is again a subject of intense speculation in India. Why was the notification appointing Field Marshal Munir Chief of Defence Forces delayed? It's widely believed that it should have happened on the 27th of November. It didn't happen till yesterday, Thursday, the 4th of December. And the Islamabad Post in your country has speculated that the reason for the delay is a power struggle between the Sharif family on the one hand and Qasim Munir on the other. And the power struggle is said to be over the length of his tenure as army chief, as well as the powers he would be able to exercise as a powerful army chief. How much truth is there in that speculation?
I don't know the newspaper you're quoting. But having said that, there has been a lot of speculation about whether the delay in the notification was due to some differences of opinion and regarding the appointments that have now been announced. In fact, some speculation said that Nawaz Sharif wanted certain appointments to be made to the National Security Advisor's post and so on, and that was delaying matters as a quid pro quo to giving the Field Marshal what he wanted. None of that is absolutely true. I don't think so. I think there were some issues within the establishment about who should do what and for how long. And now the situation is clear. The Field Marshal has got until 2030. The Air Marshal and the Navy Chief have got until 2028, and all is well.
So this speculation that they wanted certain other appointments to coincide with the appointment of Asim Munir as Chief of Defence Forces, you're saying is not true? Or is it just not established?
It's not established. Let's play safe. It's not established. But my sense is, look, as a political analyst, I would be shocked if this government, this civilian government, were to demand anything from the army chief. It's extremely unlikely. They have their past experience to fall back on. Every time anyone has fought with the establishment, they've come a cropper. And that's why Nawaz Sharif is not Prime Minister for the fourth time. I don't think these rumors are true. It's true. You can express a wish that perhaps Karan Thapar or amongst Najam Sethi and Karan Thapar, maybe Najam Sethi might be a better NSA. But then the army chief can turn around and say, no, I don't think so. I think so-and-so would be a better bet. And that's the end of the matter. I don't think Shahbaz Sharif or Nawaz Sharif would put up demands in front of this military regime. They're in no position to do so. And in a sense, they will go along with it because their own survival and longevity depends on their ability to remain in power and also to keep Imran Khan locked up.
And all of this means that the single most important, powerful man in Pakistan is not the Prime Minister, it's not the caretaker, it's not the titular president, it is the army chief. The Field Marshal is the single most important, powerful man in the country.
That's always been the case. Every army chief has been the single most important man in the country.
Is it more so now under Munir than it was earlier? Than his predecessor, Bajwa?
I mean, don't forget, Bajwa brought Imran in, screwed a lot of people, then joined hands with the opposition and got rid of him. Remained powerful until the very end, until it was time for him to go. So it all depends on the inclinations of the army chief, how much shoulders he wants to spread and wings he wants to spread and so on. Right now, Asim Munir is a no-nonsense sort of fellow, far tougher or determined to give a more hard country look to Pakistan. But don't forget, he's also built a lot of favorable bridges with the international community. Donald Trump doesn't tire of praising him.
Quite right. He's Donald Trump's favorite Field Marshal.
Not just his. I can assure you that there are others who also think the same, especially in the Middle East.
You mean he has a particularly close relationship with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman?
I think so.
So in other words, you're also suggesting that Asim Munir, in his individual personality, has been able to change Pakistan's international standing.
That is quite obvious. If you listen to the Indian media, they're very upset that this guy suddenly got a lot of international standing, something no army chief in the past has had as much as Asim Munir has had in 1 year.
In which case, my last question, how do the Pakistani people, the ordinary man on the street, view Asim Munir?
The ordinary man on the street thought he was a great hero when the skirmish with India took place. The ordinary man in the street thinks that the economy is in a bad way, inflation is rising, growth is not taking place, people are having to tighten their belts, a lot of policies need to be reversed. Those are the issues that confront the common man. That's why, although there's popular support for Imran Khan, They're not ready to come out on the streets to protest for him. They're not ready to stand in front of barracks and brave the bullets or the batons, as the case may be. They're not ready to do that. They're more concerned about their stomach right now.
And they believe Munir delivers that for them.
I don't know whether they believe that or not. They hope he does, but right now it's looking tough. The government is now having to backtrack on a number of important policy decisions that they took, which led to a great deal of heartburning and unpopularity, especially the taxation structure and certain other policies. So yes, I think the regime will have to rethink a lot of its strategies. But they have 4 years, in theory, before the next elections can legitimately be called. And as long as Munir is in the chair, they're not going anywhere. So they have time to put their house in order. And, people have short memories. If before the elections things begin to look hunky-dory, and this lot that is not popular right now end up having a degree of popularity, then maybe you can have a new round of elections. I don't know whether Imran Khan will contest those elections or not, or whether he'll be allowed to contest them or not. I can't say.
Okay, Mr. Sethi, I thank you for the time you've given me. I thank you in particular for sharing with us your analysis and understanding both of Imran Khan as well as Field Marshal Asim Munir, Pakistan's Army Chief. Take care, stay safe.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.